watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Hello, good evening to you, and welcome to another Scottish Football Zone. You'll be sick of looking at me and Ethan before Friday night, but anyway, we're here. It's a busy night of football in the Premiership. One game in the Premiership tonight. It's St Mirren against Hearts in the Premiership, and also we've got a few games coming up. Ethan, we've got a big game in the Championship. I think this game was called off, was it, before Christmas? I seem to remember the fans were booing because of the frozen park and all that. Queen's Park versus Ross County. And it's the cup, the Challenge Cup, that is. The quarter-final is Arbroath against Airdrie tonight, and we'll bring you up to date on the scores later on the show at 10 o'clock. But the game that we're focusing on even is the game at St Mirren between St Mirren and Leaguers Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. A massive game, and every game at this stage in the season is going to be massive for Hearts. They've shown so far this season that they're the best team in the country in terms of picking up the most points, and there's no immediate signs of them slowing down. I think in the past, maybe this season, St Mirren could be said as their bogey team. I think would be fair to say. They obviously lost to them in the League Cup. Were knocked out on penalties, and then obviously drew at St Mirren Park and the fixture before last, where they obviously broke that duck to beat St Mirren 2-0 at Tynecastle, despite getting a red card to Berry Berengame in the first half, and that game was only in the 14th of January, so only a couple of weeks ago really now. Obviously the fixtures have came round, and we're now on to the third opportunity for everybody to play each other in the league. And yeah, I think it won't be easy for Hearts to go to St Mirren. It never is for most teams, but I expect them to get the 3 points tonight. Stephen Robinson's made a lot of changes to his starting 11, 5 in total from the weekend, which is quite a lot. The team reads and goals is Shamal George, the unchanged, as well as the back three, which is captain Marcus Fraser, Richard King and Miguel Freckleton. Across the midfield five, the two wing-backs are Declan John and Jayden Richardson. The two midfielders who keep their place is Killian Phillips and Alex Gogic. And also making his debut alongside them in the St Mirren midfield is Jacob Devaney, the Manchester United 18-year-old, who I believe is the captain for the Man United under-23 side. So he's obviously a very talented youngster, and he goes straight into Stephen Robinson's team. I think he was signed yesterday, possibly on deadline day. And then the front two new strikers, well, not new strikers, but they didn't start the game in that disappointing scoreless draw with Dundee at the weekend. It's Mikel Mandron and Dan Ilandulu who come in. So 5 changes for Stephen Robinson. He's certainly freshened things up in the attempt to disrupt Hearts' momentum. I think Derek McInnes has only made a couple of changes. In goals Alexander Swallow, back four Harry Milne, Stuart Finlay, captain Craig Halkett, and Michael Steinwender comes in for Jordi Altena. And then in midfield it's Kasridis Berengame, who comes in for Magnuson, and Mark Leonard and Ocean McEntee. And then it says here Claudio Braga playing in behind Lawrence Shanklin's replacement, who the man himself was very happy with on Sky Sports the other night, as he took his 2 goals really well against Dundee United, Pierre Landry Cabore. So a strong Hearts side despite the injuries and the changes. I think St Mirren and Stephen Robinson still try to find their strongest 11, especially with the players they brought in. So a big game, big opportunity for St Mirren to create another upset against Hearts this season. But as I said, I expect the Jambos to take all 3 points in this one.
Yep, and of course that's at 8. That's at 8 o'clock kickoff tonight. That's why we're on a bit later, previewing the game. But yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. But even because the last couple of times Hearts has went to Paisley, they find it difficult to pick up the points. And I presume from a Celtic point of view and the Rangers point of view, you would be hoping that would be the case tonight.
Yeah, you would be, because it's already out of Celtic's hands, the league title, because if Hearts win every game, even barring the one against Celtic in the split, then Hearts would obviously win the league. And if Rangers don't beat Hearts at Ibrox in a couple of weeks' time, if it's even that far away, then that'll be the same case for them. So they'll want Hearts to drop points where they can, and maybe go on that collapse that some people still expect them to go through and fall off a bit. I don't think we've seen really many signs of that, but you never know. And obviously Celtic and Rangers will hope for that and hope that they just have each other to really worry about, but I don't think that'll be the case. I think Hearts are going to be strong until the end. Obviously, I think you probably want them to, from a neutral point of view, you probably want them to drop points, a couple points here and there to make it really close and cut that 6 point gap down to being barely anything between the last few teams going into the last few games. But no, I think they'll be looking to get over that sort of unfortunate recent record they've got at St Mirren Park, because obviously that's been the only place I think they've went to and not got a positive result this season, maybe barring Easter Road.
Yes, it's of champions elect if they go to places like this and pick up all 3 points in a cold Tuesday night.
Yeah, exactly that. These are the results they have to grind out. They've done well at the weekend. I know they were helped by the pair of red cards which Dundee United got, which they got. I think they just got their appeal back for that was unsuccessful. Dundee United appealed both red cards, but like Austin Trustees the other week, the SFA have said that they didn't feel the decision was an error. So that's fair enough, and Dundee United will have to move on from that now. But Hearts took advantage of the game and completely dominated Dundee United and were well deserving of their 3-goal lead and possibly even more. So yeah, they've been a difficult nut to crack this season. Hearts away, they're more likely to drop points than at home. They haven't lost a game at home yet. They've lost both of their games this season, in the Scottish Premiership away from home to Aberdeen and the first time around, and then obviously Hibs at Easter Road a few weeks later. So yeah, I do fancy Hearts to take 3 points here, as I've said on numerous occasions, but I'm not under any illusion that St Mirren and Stephen Robinson aren't capable of making it really difficult for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be a narrow kind of like 2-1 win tonight for Hearts away, but I think they'll find it very difficult as well. Do you think that the obviously over the past couple of times Hearts has went to St Mirren, and I suppose it's the majority of the teams in the league as well. Do you think the park is going to play a bit of a difference? I'm not talking about if it's going to be wet or whatever. I'm talking about because it's a tight playing surface at St Mirren Park.
Yeah, that's certainly something that could play into Stephen Robinson's team's hands. They're used to playing it, obviously, a lot more than Hearts are, but I think St Mirren really need that win. How many games is that now without one? 1, 2, excluding obviously the Scottish Cup win over Livingston on penalties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the last 8 games, they haven't won any of them in 90 minutes. So I think Stephen Robinson really needs a result out of his team. He was really frustrated in the last matchup between these sides and really sort of went for these players after the game and said that the performance wasn't good enough and stuff like that. And it was really disappointing for St Mirren to lose to Hearts, especially with them playing most of the game with a man down in the fashion they lost. So, yeah, I think they can use that to advantage. They'll need to use that to their advantage because they need a result, St Mirren, because it's not been good enough, especially in the league. The amount of goals that they've scored, 17 in 23 games. They're only 3 points ahead of Kilmarnock now. Of course, they have got that game in hand still to play against Dundee United from the fixture at Tannadice, which was obviously called off a couple of weeks back. So, yeah, as I imagine the St Mirren fans are a little worried about their future in the Scottish Premiership, but getting a result tonight, a positive one, would go a long way to getting the players confident and ready to go for to try and get on a run of games winning, because that's not really happened this season. They've only won how many in total? They've only won they've only won 4 of their 23 Scottish Premiership games, which is just not good enough from a St Mirren point of view, especially when they've been in the top 6 the last few seasons. And I think we've said it a few times on here, speaking to Robbie as well, that they don't want to be one of the teams that's part of that the part of the history of winning a national trophy but also being relegated in the same season.
It's quite weird to think that, Ethan, that St Mirren got a good run in the cup. They beat Celtic in the cup final, and you could basically say what you want about Celtic, about Wilfred Nancy and all that, but if Celtic were a good team or a poor team, you still got to beat them, and that's what they did. And ever since they won the cup final, I don't know if they've had a massive hangover for about 3 or 4 months, but they've not been the same team.
No, they haven't. And I think even before the cup run, they were obviously excellent. And that cup run, beating Hearts, beating Motherwell, who don't lose very often. I think they've only lost 3 times in the league this season. And then obviously beating Celtic. Obviously Wilfred Nancy Celtic, but still Celtic regardless. Sorry. So yeah, I think that's been the only positive really of the season so far for St Mirren, and you can't just live off of winning that trophy. You need to kick on and make a season out of the league, and they haven't done that so far, and that's something that Stephen Robertson and the St Mirren fans will expect from that group of players, and whether they're able to do that is another question. He's obviously brought in a lot of players, a lot of bodies into this squad, so he's able to make 5 changes without the quality completely falling off of the face of the earth. But I think it's a strong team tonight. I'm excited to see young Jacob Devaney playing, the Irish midfielder, 18 years old, Man United B team captain. So he's obviously a talented boy, and I think the question is with these type of players is always whether he has the physicality to come and play in the Scottish Premiership, especially against a team like Hearts, who we know are known this season for getting in and about their opponents and not giving them time on the ball at all.
Yeah, and as we speak about in the show, even every time we talk about a team in the low half of the table, winning breeds confidence, but also losing is a bad habit. And I suppose like St Mirren would need to start picking up points starting tonight, because games are running out.
Yeah, exactly that. They are, and they can make this season can go from jubilant to very I don't know what you would even say, disastrous if St Mirren were to go down to the Championship, because they're not safe by any means yet. There's strong teams in the in the Championship, and Kilmarnock are hot on their tails for that relegation place. Sorry, I'm dying of a cough here. But yeah, they need to start picking up points on a regular basis, or they will go down.
Yeah, no. And And that's right hard to believe as well that everybody was laughing at Tony Fitzpatrick when they came in about, oh, St Mirren's going to make the top 6, they're going to get into European football, and everybody out with St Mirren was laughing. But it's proved them right as well. But it's when you look at St Mirren from the cup final, you would be surprised how well that they did over the past 2 seasons, and getting into European football and all that. I basically said to Robbie on the show, and he kind of agreed with me at the time, Ethan, that I think St Mirren was punching above their weight a wee bit.
Yeah. Sorry, Michael. Yeah, financially, I'd certainly say they were. Being in the top 6 in 3 consecutive seasons certainly is that, and I think they were, and maybe that's when they land in somewhere in the league that's more realistic of certainly their financial levels than maybe we all look at it and base it off of where they have been rather than where they probably should be, which is in the bottom half of the Scottish Premiership. But they've shown this season that they are capable of beating anybody in this league. It's just they need to do it on a much more regular basis than they have done in the Scottish Premiership, and starting tonight against the league leaders, that there would be much better place to do that.
Yeah, no, but we'll give Ethan a few minutes to compose himself as well. He's fighting against his old cold. So I suppose that the big game tonight, St Mirren against Hearts, looking ahead to tomorrow night, and we'll speak about them tomorrow night, because believe it or not, I'm back and with Ethan tomorrow night. We've been dealt the short score last week. Tomorrow, Aberdeen against Celtic. Rangers is at home against Kilmarnock. It's a kind of homecoming from Neil McCann by the Dogs, because they were in a dug. Let's hope they go to the right dugout tomorrow night. Maybe not the left one. Hibs, Dundee United, Livingston, Falkirk, Dundee, Motherwell. These are the games tomorrow night. And just because Mingy tonight, big game in the Championship. It's it's Queen's Park versus Ross County. Reagan will be at that game, and you can hear all the interviews from the Queen's Park Ross County game after the game. And the Challenge Cup quarterfinal is Arbroath against Airdrie, quarter kickoff as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. It is the Scottish Football Zone, and you can also follow us on TikTok as well. And I'm a bit of a fan now of TikTok, actually. Even about 6 weeks ago, I must have been the only guy in West Central Scotland not on TikTok. So you can follow me.
Only guy in the world, Michael, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Follow me and follow Ethan, because we know what we're talking about. That's why we are on TikTok as well. So I was actually filling in for Ethan there. So are you okay there?
Yeah. I think my coughing fit might have died down a little bit, but yeah, I was struggling there. But I was just looking to see if any Hearts new signings or Rod as in Rogers Mata was maybe on the bench, but he's probably not up to speed yet. I'm really excited to see him play when he does get up to fitness. Someone who is on the bench though, who hasn't played too much recently, come on for 8 minutes against Dundee United as their record signing, Brazilian midfielder Agu. So yeah, there's still so many players in this Hearts squad that aren't even getting an opportunity, which shows the strength of it. They're able to loan out someone like James Wilson, who was such a big part of what they done last season, which I know wasn't very successful. under Stephen Naismith, and then I'm forgetting his name. It'll come to me. The Hearts manager for the most part of last season. So yeah, they've obviously came a long way. It's remarkable that they went from bottom six and not even challenging for European football at all to now being the league leaders pretty much from the start of the season until now. And it's been an excellent season for Hearts, and it shows what sort of preparation and sort of buying players in the right place can do for a club.
Let's speak about Hearts now, because everybody was getting shading their point on Saturday night. The game, I didn't think that I didn't think it was I thought it was a sending off even, but I didn't think it was a penalty. But I suppose like the letter of the law now with VAR and all that, it was a penalty.
Yeah, I think both decisions were possibly quite soft. I think all three decisions you could say were soft. I thought that the red card on Amar Fata, I didn't think that was a red card. And much like one that St Mirren were the victim of when Nusain and Jake Young was sent off in his full debut for St Mirren against Dundee. It was similar to that of Amar Fata. I just don't know if these ones need to be a red card. I can see why they've gave it, but yeah, I don't know. I wasn't too sure about that one, but I think they gave it. That was the decision, and you can't exactly say it's a wrong decision. So I can see why Dundee United's appeal is being turned back. Same for the second red card as well, Pinucci Kamara. Although Mark Leonard, like maybe the first one, he makes the most of it and falls down holding his face. You can't move your head towards an opponent's head. It's just been a rule for a long time now, and especially in front of the referee, and even then VAR will catch stuff like that. For the penalty, I think it's in the box certainly, but it's whether he does enough to foul them. But I just think it's really naive play from Ryan Strain and frustrating to watch, because I don't think he needs to challenge Claudio Braga like that, and he gives Braga the opportunity to draw the foul, and it's well played by the Portuguese striker. So yeah, I think Hearts are possibly off the back of the trusty red card. I think I said this the other day, that they're possibly getting the rub of the green of the decisions at the minute, but as we know that this swings and roundabouts. It comes around, and Scottish football will be one team that's going through a phase of getting decisions their way, and then it'll fall against them, and the referees, the fans are saying, "Oh, the referees are against us" and stuff like that. But usually these things will balance themselves out, and Hearts will probably go through a period. Maybe they have. One's not coming to mind, but I'm sure they have had tough decisions go against them this season, and that'll be something that comes in between now and the remaining 13 games. I think it'll be after this, or there might be one that we're talking about tonight. We'll never know. So yeah, and of course Hearts did win back-to-back games with a man down. I don't think the Benny Beningame one against Mirren was debatable at the slightest, but you get my point. That they'll go through periods and where they'll be on the back foot, and the decisions will seem like everything's going against them, and that's just how things happen in football. But yeah, it's a massive opportunity for Hearts to go 9 points clear tonight, playing first, and then they put pressure on Celtic and Rangers tomorrow. I think Rangers will win probably quite easily, I would say. No disrespect to Neil McCann and Kilmarnock, but I just think even though Kilmarnock won 3-0 and Rangers struggled to find the back of the net and didn't look like finding the back of the net at all in the weekend, despite having the ball in the net from an offside position from Mikey Moore, I think they'll win quite easily against Kilmarnock. And then Celtic have got to go to Pittodrie, which, despite Aberdeen's recent form and result at the weekend, it's never an easy place to go.
I think as well, looking at the Hearts team as well, I've got it in front of me now, but the Beningame, like a lot of people say, well, how would Hearts cope without Shankland, Devlin and Beningame? well, they cope very well actually, and but Banangame is back in the team tonight as well.
Yeah, exactly that. He comes back in. I don't think he started a game since he was sent off against St Mirren. Let me double check. I might be missing something. Oh no, yeah, he did. He started against. No, he didn't. No, he hasn't. That was the last game he played in. So yeah, this is the first time he's back in. Well, yeah, he's an excellent player as well. But we've been pretty impressed by Mark Leonard so far. He obviously came from Birmingham, was it? Yeah, Birmingham City on loan. Very highly rated in sort of statistical terms, which you can obviously see why Hearts and the James Analytics picked him up as the sort of Cammy Devlin replacement, you could say. And I thought he took a wee bit of time to adjust to the game against Celtic, but I thought he grew into that and was excellent. And I think he's been a really smart bit of business for Hearts, because I was wondering where the replacement for Cammy Devlin was going to come from, and they've obviously went out and addressed that and got somebody in, and that's exactly what January's for. If you've got an injury in positions and you need players to come in, these are what the transfer windows are for. And then obviously they'll have Cammy Devlin coming back in a few weeks. I'm not sure how many weeks now, maybe a month, just a month and a half, something like that, and same for Shanklin. But like I said before, I think Kabori's a player who give him a run in the team and he's going to find the back of the net and a decent rate, and he obviously done that at the weekend, and he'll take confidence from that into tonight's game. And then you've obviously got Claudio Braga and Kazridis, who have been finding the back of the net and contributing a regular basis the whole season. So yeah, Hearts still look just as strong as they were before the injuries, so it's going to be difficult, and there's not a lot of teams in this league that I would fancy to take points off them at the minute.
I mean, I did say, Ethan, that you know, apart from you being a Celtic fan, but obviously the Hearts and Rangers fans would be happy that Celtic are playing catch up on the Sunday now. Well, for the next two games anyway. But I think one bit of good news, well, maybe not so much good news because they would rather be in the cup than having a free Saturday. But I think Gareth McInnes would rather still be in the cup and still, you know, like churning out performances every second week or whatever. But because they're not in the cup, they've got like this is their last game until I think it's a week on Saturday they play. I've not actually had a look at the fixtures yet, but what I mean is they've not got a game this weekend because of the cup, and you know, I think this will suit Hearts especially because the games are kind of like running out.
Yeah, exactly that. And the next game is the derby, the Tynecastle midweek game, midweek derby, which I'm not sure about. But yeah, that's on the. I think that's is that a week? Yeah, a week today. So yeah, but you're completely right. Derek McInnes would have wanted to be in the next round of the Scottish Cup, and he would have been playing Stenhousemuir if they had came out and top against Falkirk on penalties, or if they had beat them in extra time or normal time, whatever. Yeah, of course he would. But that's been and gone now. He's not going to be sitting there complaining about it. He'll be taking the opportunity to rest these players, allow the players that are maybe not fully fit to get up to speed, focus on bringing players back from injury into the first team training and stuff like that, and it gives them a week's rest before the derby, because even after the derby, we obviously got to Ibrox the weekend, that weekend. So yeah, they want to be fresh for those two games. It's a difficult run of games coming up for Hearts, especially after this one. I'm not saying that this isn't a difficult game, but I think more difficult to come with the High Bees travelling to Tynecastle, then going to Ibrox. Then you've got Falkirk coming to Tynecastle again, which is obviously the only home game that Hearts have lost this season in all competitions. And then you've got Aberdeen coming despite their form, they might be in a completely different place a couple of weeks down the road. And of course, they are one of the only teams to beat Hearts this season as well. So there's not many easy games in the Scottish Premiership this season, which makes what Hearts are doing very impressive. But yeah, I agree. They've got an advantage in that sense over Rangers and Celtic, and then obviously Rangers and Hearts have the advantage that Celtic are still in European football. And the big one that I found out was that the second leg of Celtic's Europa League playoff round, where they travel to Stuttgart the following the weekend after the Sunday, they will be travelling to Ibrox, and what will be a massive derby, maybe one of the biggest we've had in quite a while. So yeah, that's obviously an advantage and a big thing to point out.
Yeah, no. Were you surprised that none of the teams maybe in Scotland but down in England weren't looking at any of the Hearts players?
Yeah, I think I am, even though maybe it would sound silly to go and try and get their players. They're obviously on for a historic seasons where they can be made immortal and legends at the club. But there's always a price. There's always a new opportunity that can attract players, and I know a lot of them come in the summer, but surely there is clubs sniffing around. I don't know if maybe they just wait until the summer, and maybe then you can get them at a reduced fee. When the summer's obviously where most clubs do their business, you can obviously attract I think more clubs to players and set up things like bidding wars and stuff like that. But yeah, we didn't really hear of any player at Hearts being linked with moves away at all, apart from obviously James Wilson, who takes that excellent opportunity to go down to North London with Tottenham Hotspur on a loan with an option to buy for I think it's around £2 million, which is a bit of a strange one, I think, from a Hearts point of view, because they maybe could have loaned him out to someone else and brought him back as their player, and then maybe sold him for more than £2 million, or allowed him to be part of the team if he was good enough. But yeah, I don't really know much behind that one, but it's obviously an excellent move for the individual, and hopefully from a Scotland point of view he goes over there and smashes it. And I'd imagine for the most part the Premier League too, but if there's a few injuries to Spurs sort of first team strikers, then you never know, he could be part of a Thomas Frank squad and get an opportunity to play in the Premier League, and that would be another Scottish striker going abroad. Well, not going abroad, sorry, leaving the Scottish League to go and play. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I'll forgive you because you're not 100% tonight, Ethan. So, yeah,
no, I'm not. Barely passed the fitness test.
Yeah, exactly.
Celtic, it's like that Celtic winger. Failed the medical, but I've made it anyway. So
yeah, well, yeah. But no, I mean, I'm in no disrespect to obviously when we won last night. I think James Wilson, the move to Tottenham, was the headline of the movers and shakers in the last night. But also as well, if he goes down there and if he gets a run out a few games, or even come on from the sub bench, you never know, he could be on that plane to America for the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's it. We've got so many players, Scottish players, that are writing their own stories and through different avenues. And I think Steve Clarke's going to have the hardest job he's had so far to pick a squad of 26 players. I think it might be. I don't know. It changes all the time, but yeah, that'll be a really tough task for him. I did see Harvey Barnes the rumours were floating around again today. I think he would be an excellent player for Scotland to have if they can convince him to join up with the national team. But obviously he's been excellent in his own right this season for Newcastle, and could possibly maybe be in with a chance of going to the World Cup with England under Thomas Tuchel. So yeah, he'd be an excellent player for Scotland to have. But there's so many talents that are probably on Steve Clarke's thinking, and he'll have a lot of grounds to visit and a lot of games to watch before he decides his final squad.
Yeah, no, I don't know when that date will be, but it's very exciting as well because usually when World Cup squads get announced, we're not interested and we're watching like EastEnders that day or whatever. But that will be a day to put on the calendar as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, I mean, it will be good. I mean, maybe I'm getting carried away here, but I mean, good for James Wilson to go get to England. It's good experience for him.
Yeah, exactly that. It is. He'll play and he'll train, sorry, in excellent facilities down at Tottenham Hotspur, and he'll be working with some excellent coaches and some excellent players as well. I know the Premier League too is it's not the best league in the world. We've seen some players come from there and not do very well. Up here, Jemai Simpson-Pusey, I know he played games for Man City, but he comes to mind. But then there's been other players who've looked really bright. I know we've not seen a lot of him because of his unfortunate hamstring injury, which is probably going to have him out until the summer. But Callum Osborne looked really sharp when he made a brief few appearances for Celtic. Obviously scored against Rangers in the cup semi-final as well. So yeah, there's definitely a league for him to develop in, a club for him to develop at as well. So yeah, and it puts Scotland on the map, and it feels like maybe I'm wrong and just being a classic negative Scotland fan, but it feels like for this sort of squad, it's going to be actually difficult to choose the players because we've got too many, rather than usually when it's difficult to choose the squad because we've not got enough quality and we're trying to make up the numbers. But I think this time around we've got so many talented players from different leagues across the world that can really make a case to be in that Steve Clarke squad come, well, as we said, whenever that needs to be deadline by.
I mean, good come back to Hearts and Longling Shankling again from Scotland. I mean, I've been on the show since he's come into the squad, and he's only had like minutes on the park. He's not. I think he's actually. I'm not sure if he started the game for Scotland, but I mean, he'll be kind of like kicking himself at the moment by picking up the injury for Hearts. It's not kind of good timing if he was hoping to go to the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think Lawrence Shanklin should undoubtedly be in the squad, but I think Steve Clarke maybe has a different sort of view on that, quite possibly. And as you said, it's not the best time for any player to get injured because a few weeks out can knock you off your stride, and you come back and you're just not in you're not that same player, you're not as sharp, and your national team manager looks elsewhere. Or like we've seen for a couple of Celtic defenders, especially this season, Cameron Cutter-Vickers and Alistair Johnston. Injuries that hold you out until close to the summer or out for the whole season, almost completely write off your chances to be a part of your nation's journey in the World Cup. So yeah, that's what we need to hope that as well, that none of our players, touch wood, do get injuries, and big injuries as well, because it's something that would be especially heartbreaking for Scotland players, because the length of time that we've waited to go to a World Cup. We want to have the best possible chance with the best possible players we have.
Yep. So I think you gave your prediction early on, Ethan, but yeah, what probably Hearts and St Mirren tonight.
I think I'm going to go for another Hearts clean sheet. I think St Mirren are really struggling for goals at the minute, and I don't see that changing tonight, unfortunately for them. I think Hearts will win. I'm going to say a 2-0 win for the Jambos, so another clean sheet. And yeah, go 9 points top and put the pressure on Celtic and Rangers to get the job done tomorrow night.
Yep, so I will go for another 2-1 win for Hearts. So we'll see. Okay, so that's the first part of the show over. We'll be back at 10 o'clock with the night shift, as it were. We'll be looking back at the games at the games tonight. But of course, there's more games than one. There's a game on in the Championship. We'll give you the final score from that one, and a big game in the quarterfinal of the Challenge Cup. But the game that we'll be watching tonight will be St Mirren and Hearts with an 8 o'clock kickoff. Thanks for watching. We'll get all over again at 10 o'clock. Thanks, Ethan, and we'll see you soon.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions